Hello and welcome everyone to my Let's Look at Tomb Raider 3 statistics. It's Locattis115 speaking. Finally, it is here, the stat summary video of the entire Tomb Raider 3 contents. Whoa, may I just say this was the toughest challenge yet, not just in terms of the Let's Play and the gameplay, the difficulty, but also to make a summary of the game. Since times of Tomb Raider 1 and 2, the engine and the complexity of the game has evolved, so the lines between what is a kill and what is an enemy, a neutral, a hostile or a possible ally, what is an environmental kill, in what order you'll tackle different geographic regions, when will you lose all your items in high security compound, all these things made it enormously difficult for me to summarize the contents and give you kind of an overview of the game. But I try to do my best. I'll try to create a video that will be useful for all of you, no matter in what order you'll decide to tackle the game's challenges in. So, therefore, without further ado, I will also try to make this a bit shorter than the previous videos. Let's take a look on the brief summary of the game's contents. So, you can see here the number of creatures killed, deaths, items, secrets, time taken, distance we've traveled, and the number of times we have saved the game during the entirety of my Tomb Raider 3 Let's Play. Okay, so this being a completionist Let's Play, it is here to show you the highest possible number of creatures you can kill, the highest possible number of items you can pick up, find. There are also, of course, differences between items and pickups, an important distinction to make. So this is just to give you a rough idea of how big the game is, speaking plainly. And also it's kind of interesting to compare this kind of screen with perhaps my previous stats videos on Golden Mask and Tomb Raider 2. So, why was it so difficult to keep a track of the contents of this game? Well, one of the main features of Tomb Raider 3 is its non-linearity. When you finish all the jungle levels and Lara leaves the caves of Kalia and meets Dr. Willard on his steamboat, she realizes there are more pieces of the meteorite to collect all across the globe, and you as a player get to choose your own order in which to tackle the different geographical regions. Therefore, we don't really know what is the official order of these. You might be wondering, okay, so what is the story? What is the official canon in which Lara tackled these? Now, while there is no official way confirmed anyway, and this is quite intentional, for those of you who have played the PS1 version of the game, you might remember that not only does the game save the beginning of each and every level in a very specific order, but also you have an option to choose from Lara's passport the story so far, which will start playing all the in-game and FMW cutscenes from the game in a particular order. Now, I have tested this on my PS1 version of the game, and indeed, let's consider Lara starts out at her home in Surrey in England, and then moves on to the India, the sort of introductory few levels, after which the whole world opens up. Well, based on the order of cutscenes in the PS1 version of the game, she first decides to go to South Pacific, then to England, then finally to Nevada, thus opening up the epilogue chapter of Antarctica, okay? Now, may I just point out, I completely and utterly disagree with this order. I mean, first of all, going from India to South Pacific, I mean, it makes sense in terms of the distance. It's probably the shortest distance away from India. However, going from jungle to jungle is just not particularly interesting and rewarding. You know, the difference is not as drastic. Then, okay, fine, we have England, a drastic change from South Pacific, but the problem I have is with Nevada being the last. And that is, you know, exactly the reason I explained in my Let's Play. In the second Nevada level, you lose everything. So from that point, you have to regather all your resources and weapons all over again. And this makes tackling the final chapter, the Antarctica, all that harder. And I believe you will not even be able to rediscover all the weapons. So this, for me personally, is absolutely unacceptable. Perhaps this is the order in which the story happened. It's really difficult to say. I mean, we are talking about a work of fiction after all, but I just felt like pointing out that this is the order which the PS1 version of the game establishes. But we get to establish our own order. Therefore, let's look at the next screen. This is probably the most common order in which people will tackle the game, and in which I have also decided to tackle the game, and many walkthroughs and let's plays you'll see online you will probably encounter. So first of all, there's the little tutorial in Lara's home in England, then we move on to intro levels in India, and when we get to choose our own adventure, we decide to tackle Nevada first. Not only is this best in terms of minimizing the losses you will suffer in the second level, but also I think the challenge increases as you progress further. Then, going from the Nevada, first of all, desert, and then the secret government facilities to South Pacific, it's very rewarding to be back in the nature again. And then from South Pacific to go to the dark England, once again, very drastic change. And then to go from that really grey, black, dirty England to this white, snowy Antarctica, I think that's a really wonderful contrast. And also you will minimize the losses suffered in Nevada. So this is the order in which I have decided to tackle these challenges, and for all intents and purposes, this is exactly the kind of order in which I will tackle the different statistics pertaining to each geographical location. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the Indian geographical panel. Now this is a little bit of an experiment from my side. I don't think there will ever be another Tomb Raider where I'll get an opportunity to do something like this, because all of them happen in a predefined order. Tomb Raider 3 is kind of an exception, so I have decided to experiment a little and, we'll see how it turns out. So I try to strike a balance between information provided, but also I want it to be transparent. I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed. So first of all, if we look into the top left corner of the screen over here, we see the compass screen and a little highlight over there. This is actually on the border of two Indian states and Bangladesh. The Indian states are, I think it's actually closer to Meghalaya, and the other state is Assam. So it's, a bit tricky to say where exactly this is. But the interesting point I want to raise is that River Ganges is miles off to the west, okay? So we are very far away from River Ganges, which would imply that Lara somehow managed to reach it during her trip in the jungle and the temple ruins level. Once again, let's not be too realist. Let's have this suspension of disbelief active, please. But yeah, this is kind of where I managed to point out the accurate geographical location. Now, as for the time it took us, it took, 2 hours and 19 minutes, 18 seconds, not too long, considering these are 4 levels: jungle, temple ruins, river Ganges, and the caves of Kalia. The distance we've traveled was 10 and, a bit over half kilometers, and we have found 15 secrets in these levels. A large credit for that goes to the jungle level with 6 secrets. Now, the interesting point I want to raise here is that in PS1 version of the game, your starting inventory will not only contain 2 flares, 1 large, 1 small health pack, pistols, but also a save crystal. Now, since save crystals are not really pickups in PC version, you only pass through them and you get cured of poisons, or you get restored half of your health, same effect as a small health pack does. You don't really have this item in your inventory in the PC version. Therefore, there is +1 extra item in that PS1 version. So yeah, these are kind of the useful supplies I try to summarize. On the left and on the right, you see the different number of ammunition pickups in the order of hotkeys that make you withdraw that weapon. So 1 for pistols, but there is no ammunition for them, 2 for shotgun, 3 for Desert Eagle, 4 for Uzi, 5 for harpoon gun, 6 for MP5, 7 for rocket launcher, and for some reason grenade launcher. The number 8 is the last one, okay? Even though rocket launcher is a superior weapon and with more rare ammunition, I would make that the last one, but there you have it. So what I have there is the number of pickups, and in parentheses there's the yield of ammunition count per each pickup and the resulting number, okay? Now I also highlighted the so-called weapon pickup ammo bonus. This is something I keep explaining pretty much in every stats video, but basically what this means is that if you find a new weapon, it comes preloaded with 1 ammunition pickup worth of equivalent of that particular category. So shotgun comes preloaded with 2 shells, grenade launcher comes preloaded with 2 grenades. A Desert Eagle would come preloaded with 10 bullets in it, okay? Below I have highlighted the different kinds of weapons you can find in the jungle levels. So first of all, you do start with pistols, and the shotgun is literally right there beneath our feet, right beneath our noses at the very beginning of jungle. It's the very first secret of the game, so I'd like to think Lara brought it on her adventure, but she accidentally dropped it and had to awkwardly re-recover it. And Pistols and shotgun are our only companions until the very end with our boss fight with Tony, where we can pick up the grenade launcher and immediately put it to good use there. Now, another thing I like to show within these geographic panels is the so-called difficulty. Now, how exactly you define difficulty in a Tomb Raider game, it's really up to anyone to interpret. But for me personally, it was the number of deaths we have suffered, the amount of health packs we have used, and the amount of enemies we had to kill, along with some neutral creatures we didn't have to kill. So, we have died 3 times in India, but we have not used any health packs, and we have killed 91 enemies, and there were 10 neutral creatures I also decided to kill for the sake of completion, rewarding us with 101 kills. It is very simple here, but it gets far more complicated and shows how inaccurate the kills count is in this game as we move later on into different geographical panels. But don't worry, I did not forget about probably the most enjoyable part of these stats videos, and that is the wonderful slideshow, this sort of collection of holiday vacation pictures of all the wonderful people and creatures we meet and kill. Yeah, but you know, it is a Tomb Raider game. So, first of all, the neutral enemies I have mentioned on the panel before, there were 10 of them, and all these were these cute little adorable innocent monkeys in the jungle level that were either a nuisance or actually also offered a little assistance, hinting us where to go, even going as far as to snatch away a small health pack from us to show us where the lever to allow us to continue is. So, of course, you know, this being my Let's Play, I have decided to kill all of these innocent, cute little critters. Moving on, however, their vengeful cousins, these alpha monkeys, they were really mean, okay? And especially if you are very peaceful with the monkeys in the jungle level, this can catch you off guard, and as a surprise, you do have to kill these little buggers. And then there were the cobras. Very interesting kind of enemy because they are static, they hurl poison, and they are positioned all around the corner. I think the level design made a wonderful use of the cobras in the Indian levels of this game. Then the flying enemies, the vultures. They were only in River Ganges and only 7 of them. Then the more mighty, magnificent, majestic and beautiful tigers, kind of old friends from Tomb Raider 2. We have seen them once again in the first level as well, in the Great Wall of China. And whoa, now look at that. Only 4 of these statues. I don't know why, but whenever I play through the Temple Ruins level, I feel like we have been encountering these all over the place, at least 10 of them, and in reality it is only 4 of these guys you get to fight. But it is their positioning, it is the fact they are always there, always silently watching, that makes you feel like they've been accompanying you through the entire level. I think this is absolutely wonderful effect it has. And then, finally, this crazy guy himself, Tony, with, now you can see it very well, Infada stone stuck in his chest. This is what probably gave him the power over fire to hurl fireballs and that kind of thing, and probably why you were wondering why cannot Lara do it after she picks it up. Well, picking it up on its own isn't enough. As Dr. Willett later explained, it modifies your DNA, so you probably have to, you know, stuff it somewhere where the sun doesn't shine to be able to hurl fireballs. Make of that what you will. Now, onto the more embarrassing moments of our little Indian adventure. We have died 3 times. The very first death we have encountered, thankfully not in the first level, that would be pretty embarrassing, was in the second level, but it was Temple Ruins, so it's absolutely understandable, and this was the vicious underwater spikes trap, where the currents would drag you, and unless you knew exactly what's up ahead, it is very likely you would get sucked into these spikes. I cannot even imagine just how painful this has to be. Therefore, let's move on, and yeah, was I saying the previous one was painful? Getting eaten by piranhas is probably, well, I assume it's pretty quick at least. Anyways, this was more of a suicide as a death. This was just me demonstrating the expanse of the River Ganges level itself. I think it was a wonderful demonstration. Unfortunately, the cost for that was a very bloody end, but hey, at least these guys had a lovely snack. And then finally, a bit of an embarrassment, we got stuck in a quicksand we could not climb off, and drowned. Yeah. Let's just move on, shall we? So let me welcome you to Nevada. the reason why choose your own adventure in Tomb Raider 3 doesn't work. Oh well, anyway, ignoring that, I absolutely love these levels. So now that you are familiar with the overlay of these geopanels, just feel free to take a look at the compass again. There seems to be highlighted the northeastern corner of the state of Nevada with its, very unique triangular shape. So probably that's according to the game where the Area 51 is located, where all the sci-fi alien research and all the conspiracies are created happens. The majestic conspiracy that I talked about when we played the high security compound. Anyway, I'm not going to get back to that. This adventure was longer than the Indian one. It took almost 3 hours. We have traveled, 150% of what we traveled in India, and we have only found 8 secrets. But mind you, these are only 3 levels. Nevada Desert, high security compound, and the Area 51 itself. Now, you might be wondering that something is a bit different on this panel, and that is because I have decided to make a split of Nevada Desert and what comes after the beginning of high security compound. The simple reason, as you might imagine, is because we lose our entire inventory, and it is replaced by, highlighted over there, 1 small health pack as a starting inventory. You get to keep your stopwatch, and on the PS1 version of the game, you thankfully at least get to keep all your safe crystals. So, you can really use the easier difficulty of the Indian levels to rack up those crystals without saving too much and carry them over here and then start putting them to good use. So what I try to do here is to show you the number of different supplies and ammunition you find before the high security compound reset and after. So by looking at this, you are aware of what you are going to lose when entering Nevada, and after you leave Nevada, what everything you can recollect, depending on which order you decide to tackle the different regions in. So you can see the 4 packages of shells before the reset, then 6 after, plus weapon pickup ammunition bonus, and you can see the totals of each ammunition count at the very right end of the screen. So, more interesting than that is the different kind of weapons we will find in Nevada. So, we had pistols, shotgun, and grenade launcher from India. You also get to find Uzis in Nevada Desert. However, then you lose everything. Your pistols, your shotgun, your grenade launcher, and the Uzis, and you have to start rediscovering the weapons again. So the second number on the right shows what you can recollect after you lose everything. So you get to recollect your pistols, your shotgun, your grenade launcher. Unfortunately, you will not find Uzis again in Nevada. However, a massive consolation prize is the fact we get to find MP5 and Desert Eagle. Both weapons I'm absolutely in love with, so that almost makes this trauma worth it. And in terms of difficulty, well, interestingly enough, in Nevada we have suffered absolutely no deaths, but the price to pay for that probably was we had to use 2 large, 2 small health packs. As for the enemies, there are less enemies to be killed, but you can see 92 creatures here are hostile, 15 are neutral. However, we were only able to get 85 kills out of 107 creatures in these levels. Now, the reasons are varied. You lose all your weapons, you have to trick enemies into death, use your allies to kill them, that kind of thing. So this really keeps track of kills or the deaths Lara has caused directly. Talking about the deaths Lara has caused directly, let's move on to the kills themselves. And first of all, let's start off with the small, cute, adorable rattlesnakes, which are pretty much the same thing like cobras in India, however smaller with smaller reach. But in terms of the damage they can take and the damage they deal, I believe it is exactly the same. So we did away with these, but then we encountered once again a very familiar enemy, the vultures. These are exactly the same kind like in the river gangers in India, so not even textural differences like they did with eagles in Tomb Raider 2 and the Golden Mask expansion. Exactly the same kind of vultures. Then, in terms of killing innocent animals that just want to nibble Lara's eyes out, we have killed 4 German Shepherd dogs, really beautiful breed. I kind of do feel sorry about killing them, but come on, they do want to kill you. What would you do? And these are trained military attack dogs. They're not there to play. Then, in terms of the animal kingdom that Lara is continually obliterating, there were the 2 orcas within this fish tank, and yeah, trying to communicate with hibernating aliens. Really interesting stuff, interesting experiment. And yeah, so once again, there is no legit way I can think of killing them other than maybe having the all weapons cheat active and going down into the fish tank with your harpoon drawn out. But there is no legit way to have a harpoon at this stage in the game, therefore we were unable to kill them, and perhaps Lara will not even aim at them. It is really difficult to say if the game considers them to be enemies. Then, very interestingly, not creatures, not humans, instead mechanical enemies, the turrets, the sentry guns. There are usually always ways to avoid killing these, but if you do want to kill all of them, you can only kill 8 out of 12. By legit means, this means not using the old weapons cheat. Once again, to stay true to the Nevada complications with kills, there were the prisoners, 13 of them, only 3 we are able to kill, but these guys are allies, so unless you are going for the highest kill count, I wouldn't really advise you to do that. Then there were these guys. Still, I'm not sure if these are governmental employees, prisoners, what the hell is their business here and why do they look like bikers, but yeah, Lara has killed 10 of these bearded men in Nevada. Then the military police itself, 15 out of 19, the rest of them were killed by the prisoners. As for the different kind of variety of military police, the same deal as before. While we have legitly killed only 10 of these guys with our guns, one of them we have killed by triggering a laser trap on him, which doesn't count as a kill in the game, but nevertheless, Lara has caused his death directly. And this guy in this particular screenshot was actually killed by prisoners, so not all of them are killable by Lara. And then these splinter cell looking guys, these military police with SMGs and night vision goggles, really cool looking guys, we have managed to kill all 60 of them. Now, there were actually no embarrassing moments in Nevada other than getting captured in the first place. We have suffered no deaths in here. Yay, Lara, you rock! Now, in direct contrast with our Nevada success were the 9 deaths in South Pacific. Now, first of all, let me just point out, once again we see that highlight there on the compass. It points to location of what in the real world are Caroline Islands. But these are not really islands, but more of atolls, not sure how you pronounce them, but basically these land masses created by corals. Definitely not a big island full of native villages, isolated ecosystems with dinosaurs and, you know, crashed Australian plains like in Tomb Raider. So basically an uncharted island somewhere amongst Caroline Islands. The time we spent here was quite comparable to India. Once again, these were 4 levels. The last one, just like in India, Caves of Kalia, here it was Temple of Puna, just a short boss fight kind of level. The distance we traveled was once again almost identical to India, but the secrets we found were only 11. Now, the interesting thing here is that we were unable to collect all items. Now, why was this, you might ask? Well, first of all, there was 1 missable crystal in Madubu Gorge and 1 unobtainable large health pack in the coastal village. Now, I will get to show these a bit later on when we get to the total item count. But collecting the crystal in Madubu Gorge would mean ignoring way many more items and kills, and simply you had to decide where's the large health pack. Is a direct joke from the developers, where they finally managed to squeeze in an unobtainable item in a game. Kind of a shout out to Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider 2. I'll mention this once we are there. Okay, other than that, there was also one interesting key item that was not technically a pickup, but appeared in our inventory because Lara was giving it in a cutscene at the end of Coastal Village and the beginning of Crash Site. The Australian soldier missing his leg gave her the map to cross the swamp, so this spawned directly in our inventory. Wouldn't count as a pickup if the game would keep track of pickups like it did in Tomb Raider 1. And so there are the different ammunition counts. The new weapons we found here were the harpoon and the rocket launcher, so each had its own weapon pickup ammunition bonus. So by this point, really the only weapon we were missing were the Uzis. But if you play the game in different order, or even if you played in the same order but somehow missed MP5 and Desert Eagle, you can recollect them in South Pacific as well. Now as for the difficulty, I did mention 9 deaths. Oh, some of you might remember why that was the case. The health packs we have used were only 2 small health packs, so I'd say that's pretty good. Now, in terms of the enemies and the kill count, now this is where it gets really interesting. There were 4 neutral creatures. Those were 4 Australian soldiers patrolling the crash site, which could actually assist you in fighting the raptors and conserving your ammunition. Of course, we had the no pistols challenge active, but that was still not a reason for me enough to let them live. No, we had to have all the possible kills. And I see here 106 enemies out of infinite. If you remember in the Temple of Puna, Puna could theoretically spawn an infinite number of lizards for you to kill, so you can really rack up your kill count if you want, for whatever reason, as high as you want. There really is no limit. This was even confirmed in the interview with one of the developers. Therefore, infinite possible enemies, but the kills were awarded for 110. Creatures we killed was 140. The reason is that we have killed 30 raptors with the rocket launcher turret, and for each we were awarded a double kill. Did I say kill? Because there was plenty of killing to be done in South Pacific. First of all, we had the lovely reunion with crocodiles in South Pacific. These guys we haven't seen since the times of unfinished business in Tomb Raider 1, but you know how reunion with Lara usually goes. You tend to die. Then, a different kind of lizards. These were the Nagas. Possible infinite number of these in the Temple of Puna level. But we have killed all 10 of them, ignoring that one spawned by Puna himself in the Temple of Puna level, because I did not want to include them in the kill statistics. Really funny screenshot, by the way. So yeah, poisonous little creatures that we did away with. Then there were the 4 Australian soldiers, neutral allies in distress. The soldier without the leg told Lara, like, send them to that particular coast where they'll be picked up. Yeah, in our particular playthrough that did not happen because statistics! Wow, the ends justify the means, right? No, they actually really don't. Then, whoa, different kind of humans, the wild natives. They came in 2 varieties. There was the club-wielding sword, and then the blowgun warriors. Now, it's actually a really funny screenshot, and probably the only close-up we got to one of these, because it's always good to keep your distance, because of course the blow darts are poisonous. Now, moving on to the isolated ecosystem of South Pacific I mentioned, there were the Compsognathus, small dinosaurs. There were only 9 of them, and they were really more of a nuisance, more interested in the corpses than Lara herself, but still, they added a little bit of flavor to the place. And then, pretty much the entire hostile content of South Pacific. Actually, no, only the crash site level, but I mean, look at this number, 46 of these guys, and the amount of beating they take. I mean, this was really the crisis moment for our no pistols challenge to see if we can make it, and they are also the reason why we had to resort to using the rocket launcher turret, because otherwise there would be no way, and these guys also tend to fight each other and therefore steal our kills away from us, so... Oh dear God, these are not the weak Peru variety, these guys are the real deal. And talking about the real deal, here is Mama T-Rex herself in all her glory. She actually looks really annoyed, not even in a threatening way, just lazy, tired, and genuinely annoyed, and just step on Lara and be done with it. But, yeah, it wouldn't be a Tomb Raider game if we wouldn't kill a majestic T-Rex. Yeah, I think that's every Tomb Raider game so far. 1, 2, and 3, the T-Rexes were present. Amazing. Now, the other boss of South Pacific, the final boss, Puna. Yeah, so doesn't look as impressive on that throne. It's just a normal native guy, the leader, no doubt, who actually carries the aura dagger with him, so changed his DNA somehow, and is able to summon lizards and cast lightning bolts. I mean, it's really fascinating, all the potential you can unlock in your DNA with just some alien meteorite. It's really fascinating. And actually, evolution of his own magical bolts we can see on Dr. Willard later on. Now, that is of course assuming you will not end up like this, pushed by a native into a wall blade trap, having your spine just sliced in half. Ouch! Then there was... okay, this was more of an intentional suicide, a little demonstration for me to show you that you cannot cross this swamp in the coastal village level. You have to wait for the beginning of the crash site level to make it, because that tile the one we are at right now in this screenshot, is not usable without the swamp map. And then, finally, yet again, these guys just love pushing damsels in distress into an even bigger distress. So yeah, we got pushed into a fire trap. I hate you guys so much. Then, okay, this was entirely my fault. I miscalculated the jump. You know, confidence is apparently a good thing, but it can be pretty lethal as well. And then finally, the reason you might have been wondering, when the hell did we die 9 times in South Pacific? Well, how would I put it? This crystal is the reason. Now, this didn't take just 6 attempts to do, okay? I mean, there were many attempts, I think 9 of them, before we really managed to collect it, but 5 times out of all these we just died. So I really advise you not to even bother if you are playing the PS1 version, unless you decide to save right in front of it. Not sure why you would. But there you have it, you know, you are informed. It is possible, but it's up to you to evaluate the risk. Now, after such embarrassing and harrowing failures, you know, it's probably a good time to go home and think about where did your life go wrong and reconsider everything you're doing. Or, you know, go around crawling in sewers and abandoned metro stations. That was Lara's case. So yeah, let me welcome you to the London chapter of the game. Just looking at the time and distance traveled, you can tell this was the biggest part of the game. And I know one particular reason why. I'm talking about you, old witch. Anyway, this also presents the highest number of secrets found, because 6 of these were in Ludsgate alone. But you might also be wondering, well, you know, why is there another split? You know, our inventory doesn't get reset here or anything like that. Well, the reason is, while I'm not including Lara's home in this chapter, because, well, while Lara's home is in England, it is not in London, I am including the All Hallows secret bonus level. And the thing is, if you are a PS1 version player, you will, just like in High Security Compound, you will pretty much lose all your items, everything except for the safe crystals and your pistols. So I found it important to make a split, and also, in case, whether you are a PS1 version player or a PC player, if you are just playing the game, you know, and you don't really care about getting all the secrets and unlocking the All Hallows bonus level, I thought it's important to keep All Hallows content separate from the basic England levels, so you are better informed about the basic levels themselves. The basic levels being Thames Wharf, Aldwych, Ludsgate and the city. So, as you can see, there are a couple of things that are unobtainable. Now, you can see even within the split that I have made a count, for example, 4 out of 5 large health packs in All Hallows, or 0 out of 2 Desert Eagle clips in All Hallows. This is all because there is a large vault at the very end of the All Hallows level with, I think, 9 unobtainable pickups. So they are in the game, but they are simply unobtainable, because as soon as you cross a certain threshold, you will find yourself at the main menu. You would have finished the bonus level successfully. Now, as for the weapons themselves, this is finally the chapter where we find the Uzis again after losing them traumatically in Nevada. Therefore, we finally have all the weapons. But if you play things in different order, you have missed something. You can get the shotgun here again, the Uzis, of course, the harpoon, the MP5 and the rocket launcher. However, in All Hallows, you can also get Uzis. If you miss them in PC version, or if you are playing the PS1 version, you can find them. Otherwise, you'll just get the ammunition pickup. No other weapons are obtainable in All Hallows. As for the difficulty itself, well, the deaths, you know, it's fine, 3 deaths, but just look at the health packs usage. 4 small health packs and 4 large health packs. Okay, now, yes, a big part of this is due to All Hallows, one particularly vicious trap fire gauntlet, but nevertheless, I found England to be way harder than than India, than Nevada, than South Pacific. It is also the reason why I wanted to play it as the last from the choosable order geographical regions. It is just enormously difficult in terms of puzzles, explorations, combat not so much, but it can be pretty vicious due to the underwater elements. And looking at the enemies and neutrals killed, The neutrals themselves are an interesting thing because these are the hoodlums, the members of the Gang of the Damned from Ladsgate, which were actually hostile enemies just a level before. So it's the same kind of type of enemy, just this time they can be neutral, your allies. One of them even shows you a way. But yeah, so altogether we have killed, well, 78 creatures, but only got registered 77 kills, and that is because of Miss Sophia, who was killed by electricity, therefore didn't register a kill. So once again you see just how unreliable the kill count is in terms of enemies defeated. And defeating enemies is what we did very often, starting off with a rather entertaining rat hunting with a harpoon gun, and moving on to just shooting down a couple of crows. This is really interesting because these are not like vultures, these are really unique new enemies, however only used in the Thames Wolf level and only in the humble quantity of 4. However, here we once again see exactly the same kind of crocodiles we encountered in South Pacific, you know, the famous English crocodiles. And in case you don't, I cannot blame you because there are none, but they were here, and it was, you know, kind of a fun reunion really, and that we have a wonderful shot at the UPB. I love that thing. Okay, moving on. In All Hallows bonus level, there was one German Shepherd dog, exactly the same kind of variety you have encountered in the Nevada levels. However, the variety you did not encounter in Nevada levels were these poor, just sick, half-rotten dogs that really you shouldn't feel bad about putting down. I mean, look at them. They clearly are suffering. They went through that cosmetic toxic rubbish that the Lay Company was developing. Just like these guys, okay? These faceless guys, that's why they have those masks over their faces. Now, they came in 2 varieties. 13 of these had their clubs, whereas 8 of these were carrying torches. The ones you see in these screenshots in particular were the neutral allies, but yeah, that wasn't always the case. Stay away from that fire, pretty please. Now, an interesting kind of enemy were the divers. Now, once again, just like the statues in Templar Ruins, it feels like these divers were all across the level in Ladsgate, but no, there were literally, once again, only 4 of them. But the placement was just so tricky, and you expected them behind every corner that, you know, once again, the paranoia made you feel like they are omnipresent, whereas they are not. And I think these are pretty much just a retexture of the same divers we encountered in Tomb Raider 2. Nothing new about that. Now, what's interesting are these guards. Now, I feel kind of bad about killing guards in a museum, but the same guys we've encountered in Thames Wharf at the water controlling station, and even in All Hallows, they always seem to be where Sophia Lay is somehow involved. So I believe these guys are on her payroll, and therefore they are pretty much mercenaries who accept the risk that they can get shot on the job for that little bit of extra money. As for mercenaries, well, here they are. This is pretty much just a retextured Australian soldier, but in this case, these are the mercs for working for the Lay Company. So, you know, have no mercy with those guys. And the boss herself, Sophia Lay, with her Eye of Isis, you know, it kind of makes sense why there was an Egyptian exhibition so close to her offices. That's probably where the artifact was uncovered. And here she has it set in her majestic staff. Well, the staff is worthless, it's just the artifact we are after. And in the end, we did receive it. The price to pay for that, however, wasn't low, let's put it like that. There was one embarrassing accident at the Egyptian exhibition. You know, just imagine, you know, a school trip of little 8-year-olds coming, visiting the exhibition, and they'll just see dead Lara Croft on the ground with broken legs, and yeah, let's not dwell on that, let's move on. Oh, great, yeah, so, more of a glitch than a death, we somehow clipped into a wall whilst being stuck in a item pickup animation and ended up in a limbo, just like in the Temple of the Cat. Oh, but don't get me started, no, not this time. And then, yeah, the glitches continue. We somehow slid off the top of the city skyline, and yeah, just like before, I had no explanation as to how this happened. Some unfortunate combination of Sophia firing a bolt in the vicinity with a radius impact damage at exactly the same time whilst we clipped through a wall or something, or yeah, just yeah, let's just move on to the next region. The final one being the Antarctica. Now, really, where exactly is the ArtisticAdventures facility in Antarctica is anyone's guess. At the very opening cutscene where you see the meteorite crashing and then switching on to the modern day, you know, you see a snowy landscape. So wherever ArtisticAdventures facility is, wherever they dug out the entrance to the lost city of Dinos, it's, I'm sure it was somewhere snowy and icy. Let's all agree on that. So the time it took was, 2 hours 52 minutes, not too long. But these were Antarctica level, ArtisticAdventures mines, lost city of Dinos, and a short boss fight level, the meteorite cairn. So kind of the same pattern like the India levels or the South Pacific ones. Then the distance traveled was beneath 15 kilometers, and we have discovered 9 secrets. So this is kind of very straightforward in terms of supplies we have found here. Really nothing remarkable, no split needed here, nothing unobtainable, no inventory resets or anything. However, in terms of weapons, when we reach Antarctica, if you do it in the order I do and don't miss a single pickup, you already have all the weapons. You found Uzis in England and that's it. You have all of them, okay? However, if you were to enter Antarctica in the order suggested by the PS1 version, that is straight from Nevada, you would recover all the weapons in Nevada and in Antarctica except for the harpoon gun, okay? And that to me is absolutely unacceptable, but as you can see, there is no harpoon ammunition in Antarctica either, and by this point in the story you don't need it. The only place where you really can put it to good use is South Pacific and the English levels, so yeah. Now, as for the difficulty, we have died 4 times, and we have used 4 small health packs and 1 large health pack. That's a lot of health pack usage and a lot of deaths, unfortunately. But then again, these are supposed to be the toughest levels. My goodness, especially the Lost City of Dinos, okay? Now, you probably know why I'm so frustrated even mentioning that level, and that involves the enemies in the level. Now, first of all, there were 4 neutral enemies. And just like the gang members, the hoodlums in England, in one level they were hostile, in other they were neutral. There were 4 flamethrower guys who were neutral allies in one level, and then on the following 2, after 2 levels later, you meet them again and they're once again hostile, you know. They reconsidered their situation, so really have no qualms about killing them. And just like in South Pacific, the possible number of kills is infinite. And not only that, there is no set number of wasps you will encounter in the Lost City of Dinos, therefore the enemies you encounter can vary, but also our kill count varies significantly, because for killing Dr. Willard, we were awarded 5 kills overall, so, you know, that on its own is quite nonsensical. As for the different kinds of enemies we have encountered in this final chapter of Tomb Raider 3, well, there was yet another variety of dogs, the 3rd one I believe, and these were the absolutely beautiful Huskies. And of course, even by the ArtisticAdventures company, they were trained as attack dogs, so we unfortunately had to do away with them, or they would do away with us. Then, I'm not sure whether to consider this insect an animal or a mutant. Well, this odd, annoying creature was the reason why we have almost failed no pistols challenge, why Lost City of Dinos is such a difficult and harrowing level, and why for me as a completionist making statistics videos almost ripped my hair out. The wasps, this unpredictable variable. You can encounter either infinite number of them. In PC version, all the walkthroughs I've checked mention there is a finite number of them that you can just destroy with a bit of patience all the nests. Wasn't the case in my version of the game, then again it was patched, and in the PS1 version of the game, if you kill wasps close to the nest with a rocket launcher, they will stop spawning, so it's as if some splash damage destroys the nest itself. It's hard to say whether glitch or intentional design. So, depending on the version of the game, and depending even on your varied experiences, you might encounter a random number of wasps. Nevertheless, the number we have encountered was 70 out of a possible infinite. Now, moving on to the ArtisticAdventures employees themselves, there were these, red shirt guys. It's not a Star Trek reference, although, they died pretty quickly. There were 20 of them, all in the first Antarctica level, accompanied by the Huskies, mostly. Then a different kind of employees with much better armaments were I guess we can refer to these guys as snow troopers. They have their submachine guns ready to fire, They wear exactly the same kind of uniform, like the flamethrower wielding guys, but they're only in the meteorite cavern level and they're not much of a threat. And yeah, the flamethrower guys, as I mentioned, 4 of them in RX tech mines are neutral, but 2 of them in the meteorite cavern are hostile. You know, the situation in RX tech mines was so desperate, they just didn't care about their corporate orders anymore. They just were glad to see another living person. At least that's the way I imagine. Well, they didn't account for me killing them to get our numbers high up. Then, yeah, so the different kind of fate of Redshirt guys was turning into mutants. Now, these were really the unlucky ones. Something just got messed up in the mutation process. They lost half their body, started spewing poison, and as we've seen in the Antarctica level in the kitchen, they had very short, limited lifespan, which, you know, is kind of a blessing as well. I mean, just look at these poor things. We have only managed to kill 15 out of 16 because one is roasted alive by a flamethrower-wielding guy, and I have found no conceivable way of getting out of a minecart earlier before the flamethrower guy roasts him. But, you know, in the world of AI behavior, I guess anything is possible. Now, these were the, let's say, luckier ones. Well, at least they can move around and they have legs. This is a different shape and pattern they took onto, and this was a really scariest part of the game, being in closed, tight corridors with these guys. A really good place to use that grenade launcher. Yeah, there were 5 of them, all in RX tech mines, but as we went deeper into the lost city of Tinos, we have encountered what is the final form of mutation, the so-called apex mutants, as I refer to them. We have encountered 7 of these guys. Now, I'm not sure if this is what the big mutants have turned into, or perhaps even the small mutants, or if these are some ancient guardians. I truly have no idea if these are RX tech employees as well who've been here the longest. It's a bit of a mystery, but talking about, you know, at least they're not as creepy, you know, they have no real features of their previous humanity. But talking about creepy, there he is. I'm gonna try and keep this short. So this is Dr. Villet after his transformation. Those of you who have seen my Tomb Raider 2 Let's Play know I am an arachnophobic, so this did not make me happy at all. And on top of that, he of course retained his human features to make him especially creepy. I mean, I would even feel sorry for every bullet that has to go through that disgusting body. Yes. Now, let's maybe move on from the disgusting to more embarrassing moments. We managed to, you know, freeze inside the icy waters, which I guess it's kind of nice. I mean, it's a completely new death to the Tomb Raider franchise. So yet another kind of death to add into our collection. Then, I'm not even sure how we failed this jump. I mean, the setup was perfect, so was the grabbing, but sometimes it just doesn't work. It's a very tricky one. Might have something to do with us having that flare active. It's really difficult to say. Then, miscalculating another jump. This was entirely my fault. Dropping into the pit of fire. I was once again in a hurry and full of confidence and self-esteem. Oh, those are things of the past now. And finally, this was, well, once again more of an intentional suicide. I have demonstrated the lethal potency of Dr. Villet's magical missiles. He gets close enough, you know, that's it, it's all over, doesn't matter what your health is, so that's why the arena is circle-shaped. It's, you know, a little help from the developers to always keep constant amount of distance between you and him. Kind of makes me think about the Colosseum in Monty Python's Life of Brian. Yeah. Now, don't worry, I did not forget about our embarrassing fiasco in Lara's home level. Me trying to reach the balcony safely. Well, we did reach the balcony, ultimately, yes, and of course I have to include this in our deaths count. So, let's see. Overall, we have died 20 times during the entirety of Tomb Raider 3. Now, 3 of these deaths were intentional suicides and 2 were glitches. Now, the suicides were really me demonstrating the River Ganges, then trying to cross the swamp without swamp map and demonstrating the Villet's magic missile potency in Meteorite Cavern, whereas the 2 glitches were both in England, one inside Lud's Gate, phasing into the wall whilst picking up underwater item, and the other one was just glitching out of the rooftops from the city skyline when Sophia striked us. Nevertheless, even if we would not count these, which I do, this would lead to 15 deaths, which is still 1 death more than we have suffered in Tomb Raider 2. Okay, then we had 14 deaths, if I remember correctly, and in the Golden Mask expansion 7. So, you know, still, considering how glitchy this game is, how difficult it is, and adding on top of some intentional deaths, I think 20 is an absolutely wonderful number for Tomb Raider 3. I'm actually quite proud looking at this screen. Another screen I should maybe not be so proud to look at, but there it is anyway. We are facing the facts, well in this case Angry Lara, is the kills count, the total kills count. Now, as I said, I do not consider the kills count made by the game to be a very reliable statistic. Therefore, I consider Sophia a 1 kill, okay? Luring her to electricity. I consider luring a soldier into laser trap a kill, 1 kill. I consider stunning Willard 5 times and then delivering 1 killing blow, 1 kill. I consider killing 30 raptors with explosive weapons, 30 kills, and that kind of thing. So, using this logic, how many creatures we have environmentally or directly with our weapons killed, we have defeated 489 hostile creatures, and we have mercilessly, in very cold blood, killed 24 out of 36 neutrals. I mean, we would kill all of them if we could, but this is the number we could. Whereas hostile enemies like the wasps or the naga lizards, there is an infinite possible number of. So, overall together, that leads us to 513 real, proper creatures killed. Wow, if I remember correctly, Tomb Raider 2, it was 516, so we almost reached that level of violence and bloodshed. But you know, it's really interesting. I see many people complain about how violent the new Tomb Raider 2013 and Rise of the Tomb Raider are, but have you really ever played the core era Tomb Raiders? I mean, Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3. These are the bloodthirsty and violent games. Not the new ones. This is the real bloodthirsty deal. Now, sorry, I had to find some excuse to include this screenshot in the video. So, Lara's home is always kind of a wild card in my statistics videos, and this is no exception. You know, just like you stun Willard and you get awarded a kill for each stun, and you can possibly, theoretically, with your pistols out, stun him infinite number of times and rack up those kills, it'd be interesting to see if Lara's home level would have the stat screen counting the kills if the game keeps track of kills whenever we stun Winston for a little while, because, you know, technically wise, it's the same thing as stunning Dr. Willard, so I guess these would be considered kills by the game as well, if it would keep track of that. However, I don't do that, of course. We didn't kill Winston, thank goodness. We have merely loaded him, well, his platter with lead. That's all. So yeah, Winston, sorry you're not part of the kills count statistic, but I don't think he's actually too bothered by it. Now, moving on, don't worry, I did not forget the accuracy statistic of our Tomb Raider 3 playthrough. We have the best accuracy we have had so far. So 6,079 shots fired, 5,622 shots hit our targets, leading us up to the wonderful 93% accuracy. I would really love to have at least 95, you know, but there we go. Now, this can be for various reasons. I think it's because we have used weapons like the shotgun, the Desert Eagle, even harpoons on some rats, to, you know, an MP5. Oh, we used so much MP5. You know, these really accurate long-range weapons. And we haven't really been using things like the Uzis, which was one of the main weapons in Tomb Raider 2 levels. So I think this really constitutes majority of our really good accuracy score. Now, one of the things I want to mention here is, yes, the game keeps track of shots fired and shots hit. But there's an exception. Now, for those of you who missed Winston, we'll be really happy to see him here again. Really, the game doesn't keep track of our accuracy in Lara's home level, not that that's that important, but still, you know, I guess the number of targets we managed to defeat should be enough to judge our own accuracy. I remember we missed one, so yeah, there is no way to really know how accurate were we here, so there's no way to include this in the overall accuracy statistic. And also, if you remember the explosive rocket turret in the crash site level, of course you remember, that is actually also not counted by the game. no matter how many rockets you fire or you hit the raptors with, the game doesn't increase its shots fired and hits numbers at all. So these are not at all included in the accuracy statistic. I just thought like pointing it out. Now let us move on to a more peaceful topic, the items and the supplies usage and all the good stuff. So first of all, new to Tomb Raider 3, well, actually technically PS1 version of Tomb Raider 1 already had these in it, the save crystals, but new to the PC version are the health crystals, or to PS1 version, pick-upable portable save crystals. So at the beginning of the jungle level in India, as I mentioned in the Geo panel, you get one extra save crystal if you're a PS1 version player. So there's +1 in the PS1 version, one less in the PC version. However, no matter what's the total, you can only get the total -1 crystal, because there is one missable crystal in Madubu Gorge, which I've already mentioned, and I will mention again a bit later on. Now, moving on to a different kind of really useful item supply, the health packs. Now, there are 115 small health packs in the game, all obtainable, whereas only 61 out of 63 large health packs are obtainable. The reason is, one is an unobtainable large health pack placed on a quicksand in Coastal Village, a little joke from the developers. The other one is inside the All Hollows inaccessible vault. Okay, so you will only have 61 maximum at your disposal, and don't forget, you do lose whatever items you had when starting the high security compound level in Nevada. So, our usage was actually pretty damn good. Well, I would like it to be better, but 12 small health packs, 7 large health packs. Our health bars were restored only 13 times. Well, the equivalent of 13 health bars, yeah? But it needs to be said, we have also collected, well, 97 health crystals. Now, whether we had a full health or not, these have contributed greatly to our low health pack usage. So, you know, in Tomb Raider 2, we restored our health bar, I believe, 24 times, almost double that. Well, that can be simply attributed to the health crystals in PC version. Would be interesting to see how many health packs we would use in the PS1 version. Now, the other kind of supply, the flares. Now, there is an interesting thing to be noted here. We finally get 8 flares per pickup in Tomb Raider 3, which is exactly as many are shown inside the box. Now, for some reason, you had the 3-dimensional protruding flares in Tomb Raider 2 and Golden Mask expansion. This time the box seems to be simplified and they are just 2-dimensional, but whatever. It's probably because they had to place them physically in the game world and not to slow the game down. Anyways, I'm talking too much. 434 flares are available at our disposal, and we have only used 100 flares. Well, that is actually a lot of flares to be used. One of the reasons is, yeah, they last much shorter than they did in Tomb Raider 2. On the other hand, you get 8 per pickup, and also the game is much darker, and especially so in PS1 version of the game. Now, just to mention here, in Lara's home there were 3 flare pickups, leading up to the total of 24 flares maximum, which in my video I have used only 3 of. Now let's move on to the real fun toys. So first of all, pistols, and of course, as you can imagine, the most difficult weapon to keep a track of due to its unlimited ammunition. There is an infinite ammunition available for Lara's trusty sight guns. We have fired these 2,460 times, and yes, this involved me doing some manual counting, but mostly just looking at the shots fired statistic and comparing other weapon ammunition statuses and counting the difference. Anyways, in Lara's home we of course had the pistols, infinite ammunition available. We have fired them 122 times. Not sure what that will be useful for, but there you have it. You don't have to be strict about your pistols management, but by looking at the bullets fired and, you know, the low damage they kind of deal, you can maybe constitute and guess just how useful they were in the overall adventure. Now, for my long-time favorite of the series, the lovely shotgun, well, this time around it looks different. I really love how it looks, but the sound is, yeah, it's not as powerful as it was in Tomb Raider 1 and 2. Nevertheless, just look at the usage. Out of 120 shells, we have fired 119. Now this could either mean we finished the last level with 1 shotgun shell remaining, or it could mean we lost 1 shotgun shell to the high security compound reset, and the same rule applies to all the following weapons. Now the weapons I'm showing here, like the Desert Eagle, are in the order in which they are assigned to hotkeys. So pistols for 1, shotgun for 2, Desert Eagle for 3. There are 370 bullets available, which is an enormous amount, actually, for a weapon as powerful as Desert Eagle. One of its bullets is powerful as half a grenade, yeah? And 204 bullets were fired. Now, many of the bullets were once again lost to the high security compound before we even had a chance to shoot it. And the rest of them, well, I think we finished with around 56 bullets or something like that for Desert Eagle. I underestimated just how generous the Antarctica levels were with this kind of ammunition, and thank goodness for that. Now, moving on to number 4, the Uzis, once again. Something you lose in high security compound reset, others you actually get to use, so there is 1,760 bullets available, distributed across whatever order of adventure you choose, out of which we fired 1,184 bullets. Now, I understand my ammunition consumption will probably be a lot higher than, average players, because not everyone has a no pistols challenge, which we succeeded in, by the way, woohoo! But also the fact that I was patiently mowing down all the wasps, whereas I can imagine many people just, trying to ignore them or do away with them somehow else. Now, moving on to number 5 is the harpoon gun. Now, this is the weapon that you can completely and utterly miss if you go straight from the Nevada levels into Antarctica, and you will finish the game without having this thing in your inventory, which, as I've said before, for me is completely and utterly unacceptable. Now, there are 99 harpoons overall available in the game, out of which we have used 64, and this is us using the harpoon gun not only on underwater enemies, but on the rats and the and the wasps as well, and one failed attempt on actually using it on a crocodile. Now, there is also the underwater propulsion vehicle. 20 more of these harpoons were used by that. Now, the reason why it's not a separate screen is because the ammunition is shared for both, so depending on how many you've collected, when you reach the point with the UPV, depends what is your overall harpoon pool for that. But the damage output from the UPV is doubled. I just cannot express enough how much I love that little cute vehicle. Now, number 6, which is kind of weird. I was always thinking MP5 should be number 5, but no, that would be too obvious. Yeah, is the MP5. There are 2,340 bullets available, out of which we have used 1,740, okay? All with great accuracy, and we especially put it to good use in the crash site level. Now, whoa, rocket launcher, here it is. This wonderful weapon, this new baby to the Tomb Raider franchise. There were 27 rockets only available, and 23 of these we have used. Now, I believe 4 of these we have lost due to the high security compound inventory reset, and I think on Dr. Villet, if I remember correctly, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, we have used the very last rocket. So they were put into really good use and enjoyable as well. Now, this is number 7, and for some strange reason, number 8 is the grenade launcher, okay? You would expect the last hotkey to be the most powerful weapon. No, it's the shittier version of the weapon just before that, strangely enough. Now, for grenade launcher, there aren't as many grenades as in Tomb Raider 2, only 50 of them. And unlike in Tomb Raider 2, it is rather useless. It has a very short range, very poor accuracy. It has a delay unless it hits the target exactly. I mean, it is just horrible in so many ways, and I'm thinking it might have something to do with that little adjustment made to it, this round cylinder it has. For loading several shots, it still has to be reloaded manually after every single shot, so I'm not sure what's the point of that. It does look better, but somehow the weapon is simply worse than it was in Tomb Raider 2. And out of the 50, we have used 38 to injure stronger enemies, not to deal that killing blow, which would mess up our kill count, which was messed up by the game enough quite already. Now, last but certainly not the least, you know how much I love the rocket launcher? Well, here we have a rocket turret. Now, I've mentioned this before, the rockets fired from this thing, and some of them that actually hit the target, in this case the raptor or the walls, these never count as shots fired or hits in the in-game statistics, so they were not part of the accuracy statistic at all. It's difficult to say. But we have fired 44 rockets out of an infinite number of rockets. Don't worry, unlike UPV, this doesn't actually expand the rockets in your inventory. That would be just horrible. No, this has its own infinite rocket ammunition. Just an absolute joy to use. Now we are approaching the items pickups total, but we are not quite there yet. We have forgotten about the key items. So overall, in the entire contents of Tomb Raider 3, there were 59 different key items for us to pick up. Now there were some duplicates, but that was a different copy of the same item. What I included here was the racetrack key from Lara's home and also the swamp map, which wouldn't count as a pickup because it just spawned in our starting inventory in the crash site level. But what I did not include here was were basically 2 out of the 3 pickups of the crowbar in Antarctica, because really, whilst that would be additional pickups, it is still the same item, unlike in RX Tech Mines where the crowbar simply disappears like every ordinary key item from our inventory after being used. And also I did not once again count us recollecting the meteorite artifacts from the meteorite cavern slots, because you know, these are the things we have already retrieved. I have already included in the items count, so retrieving them in the meteorite cavern after being brutally stolen by Dr. Willard by flipping over a table with a bowl of warm soup. Wow, very heroic, Lara. Therefore, I have not included them in that count. Unfortunately, there were quite a few more items I was not able to include in the count of the items we could have picked up. And yeah, I've mentioned you before, twice now I think. Here you are, the joke from the developers, a little shout out to the large health pack in the apparently inaccessible but corner glitch accessible large slope in Palace Midas, then the large health pack in the Temple of Xian level, in that inaccessible, unusable leather texture, which is not actually a real leather. And now, you know, even that challenge was overcome with some fan-made utilities like Flying Patch, which allows Lara to swim through the air. Even that was overcome, so what the developers did was just... wow, I mean, really brilliant in a way. They put it on top of quicksand. As far as I'm aware, there is no utility that allows you to pick that up, no patch, nothing, or unless something would modify the level directly, but in that case you would be playing a different level, technically speaking. So here it is, that son of a bitch we couldn't obtain. Then there was the Madubu Gorge Crystal. Now, this one, unlike the large health pack, is obtainable, but at the cost of skipping some parts of the level and taking a shortcut and missing out on way more items than just this crystal. And the same applies to the one single rocket in the Lats Gate level. This is another shortcut through the level. If you take it, you of course progress through the level far more quickly, if you consider that kind of thing your objective, and you get to pick up that one rocket to make up for all the stuff you will miss. Now, finally, the vault in All Hallows level. Now, as I mentioned in the All Hallows level, originally the developers intended these items to be pick-upable and then usable when you start a New Game Plus, so to speak, but you know, that's not really much of a difference and initiative to start New Game Plus, so they just decided, you know, once you enter the vault, use your imagination what Lara does with it, but the game is over. So these are in the game, but they are inaccessible, all 9 of them. So now that brings us to the total of 652 items found out of 664 items in the level, okay? So, that is a lot. That includes the Coastal Village Large Health Pack, Madubu Gorge Crystal, the Lats Gate Rocket, and all the vault items in All Hallows. Plus, there are 5 additional items in Lara's home. 3 flare boxes, 1 pair of pistols, and the racetrack key. As for the secrets of Tomb Raider 3, well, this is kind of a special one. I would say this is the reverse issue in Tomb Raider 1, where there was a glitch preventing from one final secret to be triggered. Here, we can actually trigger 1 extra secret. There are 4 secrets in the Coastal Village level, whereas 3 are mentioned in the total. Whether intentional because of the branching paths in the level or just a design flaw by the developers, there it is. It allows us to collect 60 out of 59 secrets. Therefore, if you do collect it, you have 1 bonus secret you can afford to miss and still unlock the All Hallows bonus level. Now, one of the levels in the Thames Wharf level was getting this mysterious cathedral key. The theory is that should there not be any Coastal Village glitch, you would need to discover the secret, therefore pick up the key, therefore have it in your inventory, and All Hallows is a cathedral, so probably this is what was used to access All Hallows. But technically, you can miss this secret and still make it there because of the design flaw. So it's just a theory, but I assume that's what this key is for. Now, if you were wondering just how big the game is, well, there it is. Now, on the left, we see playthrough time. This is the in-game time across all the different levels I have played, whereas on the right is the Let's Play time. This includes Lara's home, which is not included in the playthrough time, and also me showing you, demonstrating things in alternate playthroughs, or just repeating things, retaking things, that kind of thing. So as you can see, there is an overall 4 hour, 28 minutes and 29 seconds difference between the playthrough time and the Let's Play time. However, looking just at the playthrough time, this is unsurprisingly the longest Tomb Raider game so far, and yeah, I don't think that really surprises anyone. And in terms of distance traveled, we have traveled 67.55 kilometers. That is an absolutely enormous distance, and once again, this does not track Lara's home at all inside it. Now, finally, other than the no pistols challenge, one of the challenges I have set before me, I believe this was around the time we were playing the River Ganges level, already 9 saves through or something like that. I decided to see if I can beat the game using less than 50 saves, and may I just proudly say that yes, we have managed to use only 47 saves, okay? Now, the interesting thing to do here is, if this would be a PS1 version, we would have to, what do you think, maybe use 47 save crystals? No, I've mentioned this actually before when talking about the PS1 version suggested game order. The game actually makes a starting position save file at the beginning of each and every level. So, we did not save at the beginning of the jungle, there was no point, we can always just select from the new game from the main menu. Therefore, not counting the jungle, I have used 19 saves just to start at the beginning of each level, okay? And we've had to actually re-overwrite the jungle levels because there was just no more space in the passport. So, not counting these 19 starting position saves, if this would be PS1 version of the game, I would have used 28 out of 98 available crystals, okay? Now, yes, 99 are in the game, but one we would miss in the Malibu Gorge, so 28 out of 98 usable crystals, that's, you know, that's coming from someone who is actually experienced with the game and also practiced the game on the PS1 version before coming over to the PC one and making a Let's Play. So, if I imagine a person perhaps even completely new to the franchise starting out with Tomb Raider 3 PS1 version of the game and having only 98 crystals available to use if they find all of them, okay? Not counting the level starting position saves. That is just harrowing, disheartening experience. In no way I can justify limiting one's saves in a game like this. And I'm happy to say they scraped the idea as far as I'm aware and just reintroduced free saving in Tomb Raider 4 Last Revelation, just like they did in Tomb Raider 2. Whereas Tomb Raider 3 The Lost Artifact expansion is actually not available for PS1 version. So yeah, this is I guess how we would fare in the PS1 version. And less than 50 saves challenge complete. Yay! Now don't worry, I have not at all forgotten about a very important ingredient in these stats videos, and that is the top category winners! First of all, let's start with the number of creatures killed. Now this is a difficult one, as you might imagine, and as shown by the culprit on the screenshot, the Lost City of Tinos was, in my particular Let's Play, the level with the highest number of kills. It comes as a no surprise, considering the number of wasps we exterminated, and even then they just kept going and going and going and going. Therefore, since your experience in the Lost City of Tinos might vary, I have also decided to include the crash site level here and the number of creatures killed, okay? Now mind you, this is not the kills count, in-game kill count, I'm talking about the number of creatures. So, counting the explosive kills of the raptors using the rocket turret as one, you would still be awarded 60 kills, which makes it, after Lost City of Tinos, the level with the highest number of kills. Yeah. Now, moving on to deaths. There they are. Maduba Gorge and Coastal Village, yeah, we are on both accounts in South Pacific. Now, there are 6 deaths in Maduba Gorge, but 5 of these were due to me trying to obtain 1 save crystal only. So, depending just how you know, hardcore you are, how much you want to punish yourself, you might just ignore it completely, try to descend safely and continue. If that would be the case, in my playthrough, we would die only once. So right after that, I guess a rather unimpressive number, but still 3 deaths in one level was the highest one, and that was the coastal village, okay? Twice we were pushed to a deadly trap by the same kind of enemy. Just look at him grinning there. And yeah, once it was a demonstration of the crossing of the swamp without a map. Now, still in South Pacific, I know, lots of victories for this geographical region. The highest number... the level with the highest number of shots fired, 733, goes to the crash site. I mean, after seeing the level with the highest number of enemies being the crash site, 60 enemies, this really comes as a no surprise. But not only that, but one of the enemies was Mama T-Rex over there, and she could take a beating, okay? Let's put it like that. We almost expended our entire MP5 reserves on that mean old lady. So yeah, this really comes as a no surprise. And now, kind of a positive thing, the most generous level, albeit one of the toughest ones in the entire game, one of the longest ones, but you know, there you have it, a little bit of payoff, was Lad's Gate with 69 obtainable items out of 70. One is once again the rocket you would be able to obtain if you were to take a shortcut through the level, but you would miss a lot of other items. Now, one of the reasons there are 69 items packed in this level is right in front of your eyes, but not only this, overall during the course of the level there are 20 different harpoon ammunition pickups, because the developers realized this is the level where you are going to use your harpoon ammunition, if ever at any point. Now, the most, I guess I would say, mysterious levels were the very first one, the jungle, and then, yeah, speak of the devil, Lad's Gate again. The 2 levels with the highest number of secrets. Now, in Lad's Gate it doesn't surprise me at all, but in jungle it really does. Imagine right after finishing Tomb Raider 2 with its, you know, 3 dragon statues secret system, which, you know, to be honest, I absolutely loved and I miss it. Imagine coming to Tomb Raider 3, checking the statistics screen, the very first level, and seeing 6 secrets. I mean, whew, that is daunting, and you probably start expecting this is going to be a standard number of secrets in the following levels, or that it's going to get even higher. Well, no. Thankfully, making our life easier, it doesn't. So, these 2 levels are both equal winners of the highest number of secrets. But there is one level that is the winner of the next category. And to put simply and to just summarize it, you know, it might be a very common question, so what is the biggest level of Tomb Raider 3? Old Witch. I mean, does that surprise anyone? Look at the time. 1 hour and 20 minutes and 13 seconds, and we have traveled 6.29 kilometers in one single level, you know? And it might surprise people perhaps, because, you know, usually expect big levels to be those in open spaces perhaps, involving a little bit of nature, not some tight urban corridors and stuff like that. But I think the amount of backtracking involved in Old Witch, which the whole backtracking idea was one big puzzle element of it, I think that is the reason why there was such an amount of time taken and so much distance traveled. So there you have it, officially the biggest level of Tomb Raider 3. And now, my friends, we are finally approaching the end of the stats video. I think my objective of making it short failed miserably. Nevertheless, I hope the contents of the video itself more than made up for it. I cannot even begin to tell what it feels like to actually deconstruct and summarize in great detail a game that's been haunting me since I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old is when we got it. Yeah, the game that first introduced me to 3-dimensional space exploration, game that introduced me to Tomb Raider franchise, and the game that's always been in the back of my mind, haunting me, taunting me, that I've never ever finished it, never played through it properly, never dominated it. Well, now Tomb Raider 3, Adventures of Lara Croft, consider yourself dominated. Woo! I cannot begin to express how this feels. It's just an amazing feeling, you know, to overcome something from your past. So thank you very much for watching this video, and yeah, that would bring us to the close of the original Tomb Raider trilogy, if it wouldn't be for one final artifact that we have missed. Thank you very much for being with me on this really difficult, challenging journey that is Tomb Raider 3, and I will see you guys next time in The Lost Artifact.